Howdy folks, it's Micah Hood here. I wanted to give a 1-month celebration of having this modular synthesizer by showing a little bit of the patchwork that I've been doing with it. Thanks to all that have been listening to my little synth jams here and there. They've been a lot of fun, and I think there are some very surprisingly good things about this unit that I think since it's affordable and things like that, make it very attractive. But also at the same time, there are some things that you have to work around a little bit, just like any other system. But I find that all very interesting in terms of the creative process. It kind of adds to what you do, makes you think about things differently. Just because it has pitfalls doesn't make it bad. It just means you have to work around it in interesting ways. That's kind of my motto anyway. Anyway, so all that we're going to be dealing with in this patch is one output, mono output, and it's going into my Alesis Multimix for USB effects, control recording interface. And I have a little bit of chorus and reverb on the synth channel. You'll hear it whenever we get started. Anyway, here is the basic patch that I usually start out with. You'll notice that in the mixer module, I usually use the mixer module as my kind of brain, the nexus for everything being mixed in there so that I can make arrangements. It's plugged on the website as a way to mix, different oscillators and different sounds together. Of course, you can use it that way. I've always used the mixer as kind of a sub-mixer before it goes into my audio interface. So that then I can control things in real time, arrangement-wise, because that's why I got this unit in the first place, and why I've been interested in modular synthesis in the first place was so that I can make full arrangements on the fly. It's easy to do. You can do it live, et cetera, et cetera. So I have everything coming out of the mixer into the main output. And then I'll be plugging in all of my sounds into the mixer as we go along. Also, in the low frequency oscillator, this 2 LFO module, I have the second LFO being used as kind of a triggering point. It's banging triggers out that I'm then multiing in the beat divider here to the clocks of both the beat divider and the sequencer 16. Okay. So that's the idea of just starting out, and whatever rate I have here in the gate will depict how the sequencer, how fast it goes. So that's kind of the basic structure of the timing mechanisms that I've got right now. Of course, with the beat divider, you can, and it has a nice kind of clock in it that analyzes the gate triggers that are happening, and then decides if you want to separate it into triplets or dotted rhythms or 16th notes, 32nd notes, 8th notes, whatever you want. So I'm just going to set it to something for right now, and we'll deal with it here in a second. Okay, I usually have the time elements first. The time elements are always kind of set in stone. And then whatever sounds I want to come up with, I just make them up as I go along. That's the whole reason behind a jam, right? So I'm going to take this gate that's coming from the sequencer 16, and I'm going to put it into our drum kit module. And I'm going to take the output of the drum kit module, and I'll make that A1 of our mixer module. Now, as you notice, I'm going to be turning the volumes up and down here. The drum kit module is really interesting. It's lo-fi samples that you can pitch, and it has a couple of different bank presets with it that you can change so that the hats are different, the claps are different, the snares different, and then there are a bunch of different combinations of those different sounds in different banks. You can also CV the pitch as well, so that's pretty special. So just as a little demo, we've got our hi-hats here. I'm going to take the CV out. Sorry about that. I'm going to take the CV out of the sequencer, put it into our pitch CV. Okay, so it's taking the stages of the sequencer here and applying control voltage to it to change the pitch. Now, of course, this is the centralized pitch here. We can then change it. There's also a little reverse switch, so that's pretty nice. Okay. Now that's a nice feature of it. As you can tell, there's a little bit of some disturbance that happens in the lower end of the EQ spectrum and the higher end. Since they're lo-fi samples, as they get pitched, there's a little bit of distortion that goes on when transposing those samples. So the best thing to do that I found is to run it into either the SV or the WASP filter to get rid of those. And then you can actually do some pretty cool things. So that's pitfall number one, is that when you're dealing with lo-fi samples, you get that kind of grainy sound that comes from transposing those sounds. If you don't like that, it is hard to edit whenever you're mixing a patch in a digital audio workstation. At least I've had a hard time with it. If you don't want to deal with it, then you can just put it into the filter and figure out ways to roll those frequencies off so you don't have to deal with it. For now, I'm just going to stick with the gate going to our closed hi-hat. And then I've got these accents. In the sequencer 16, there are accent points. When you have the knobs on each of the stages turned up all the way, it says ACC, that's your accent, and it keeps track of your accents down here. I can use those accents as, say, like a bass drum pattern. Okay, that's a pretty cool little thing already, right? I'm gonna turn down the reverb. There we go. Sounds much better. Now, you cannot control the individual volumes of the hats or the bass drum without actually going to a different module, which kind of stinks in a way, but it does, believe it or not, the bass drum's actually pretty powerful, so you don't have to turn these drums up too loud to get a nice full sound together, the hats and the drums. So yeah, pretty cool. The last thing I'm going to do, I've already got a nice little drum loop going. I think I'm going to go ahead and add some snare drum. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take 2 stages, trigger points, from the sequencer, multi those things together, and then apply it to the snare drum. Okay. Now, here's another issue. This is actually something that I just discovered on this video, that actually multiing these into the drum kit doesn't work as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick with having this as like a dub kind of thing. Maybe I'll just save some space. Put one snare drum. Still discovering new things every day. It's a pretty cool little sound. Okay, so far so good. We've got our mixing channel 1 finished with exclusively what the drums are doing. And we can control in real time and do all that kind of stuff once we get our arrangement down. But now we get to what I think is the interesting stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the beat divider, the output. We can either do output A, which is the red, or output B, which is the yellow. And again, it's just dividing things up according to how that's clocking into it. So I have it as a dotted 16th note that it's dividing at. Okay, and I'm actually going to apply it to the gate of the sequencer 8. Okay, and that in and of itself is still attached to this. It's just now I can gate that to something different. Even though it's out of time, I'm going to apply it to the gate of an envelope so I can start putting sounds and shaping sounds in there. I'm going to go ahead and take an easy kind of thing, is taking the output of Selena, putting it into the input of my VCA, taking the output of the envelope, putting it into the CV, and I'm going to take that output from the amp and put it into the SV filter, state variable. I'm just going to do a little easy low pass filtering. Put that in channel 2. Okay. Okay, so controlling the decay. With the drums. Now I'm going to change the rate by which Selena does its thing. Now that's cool if you want to keep the that kind of rolling syncopation going. Maybe I don't want that. So on the sequencer 8, I can reset the beat divider so that I get more even of a pattern. And I think I'm going to do it on beat 1 as the reset. Yeah, so let's see if that works. Yeah, maybe not. Let's see if we could work with another stage. Yeah, there we go. We could even speed up our LFO. There we go. I like that a lot. Cool. So we've got our Selena, and we've got our drums, and then we can start maybe shaping something with our sequencer 16 here. I think what I'm going to end up doing is taking another kind of 16th note gate from here and applying it to our second envelope to trigger the second envelope. Take the output of that. What's really helpful about this is that these two modules is that there are two of them. There's two envelopes, two amps, and they're right next to each other, at least the way that it was set up for me. I haven't moved anything around. We're just saving space for a couple of modules that I'm going to get in the future. I'm already excited about them. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take the output of number 2, located on the same VCA. I'm going to put it in my WASP filter. Put it in the low pass. I love low pass filters. And I'm just going to go ahead and give a little like lead, taking the CV from our sequencer 16 and give a little lead synth on a, I don't know, a square wave, a pulse wave. And we'll see how that goes. Lower that. That's pretty cool. Cool. So it's pretty nice. I mean, you can use it as a bass. Another thing that's really great about Selena is that we can transpose it in real time. So yeah. So we can start playing around with this and shaping sounds and doing very, some LFO action on the filters. Cool. And that's the way that I make little arrangement patches. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments section. I'd be happy to answer them, but feel free to share. And yeah, consider AE Modular. It's a really great little thing. Tons of things that we didn't even get to explore in this video that we'll explore next time. We'll see y'all later.